Welcome to the Deep Dive Financial Abundance Show. In today's episode, we will examine an article on the surprising financial reality of Gen X as they prepare for retirement. Let's dive deep.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're looking at Gen X and retirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
Now, whether you're a Gen Xer yourself or, just curious about how this generation is facing, their financial future, we've got some pretty interesting data and insights to share.
I bet.
And we know Gen X sometimes gets a bad rap for being, a little pessimistic, but buckle up, because what we found might surprise you.
It certainly challenges some common assumptions.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, for this deep dive, we pulled research from some big names.
Yeah.
FINRA, Bank of America, Transamerica, Northwestern Mutual, Allianz Life even.
Wow, that's quite a few.
Yeah, we went all out for this one.
Nice.
The mission here is to sort through some information that seems kind of contradictory.
Oh, how so?
Well, on the one hand, there's data that suggests Gen X is actually doing pretty well when it comes to retirement savings.
Okay, yeah.
But then there's this whole other side of the story,
Mm-hmm.
the one where Gen Xers themselves are saying they have some serious anxieties about their financial future.
Oh, that's interesting.
So what gives? Are they doomed or are they on track?
Good question.
That's what we're going to try to figure out today.
I'm ready.
All right, so I have to admit, some of the findings from these studies really caught me off guard.
Yeah, like what?
Well, for example, the FINRA Investor Education Foundation found that over 60% of Gen Xers actually have retirement accounts.
Really? That many?
And get this, most of them are actively contributing to those accounts.
That's a pretty solid start, I'd say.
Right. I mean, it's not everyone, but it's more than I would guessed.
Agreed.
And then there's more.
Okay, I'm listening.
According to Bank of America's research, Gen X is actually outpacing other generations when it comes to 401k contributions.
Oh, wow.
Not only that, they're putting away even more money in separate investment accounts as well.
So they're really stepping up their savings game.
Yeah, it seems so. I'm curious, though, is this enough to actually ensure a comfortable retirement for them? How do these savings rates compare to what previous generations needed to put away?
That's a great question, and while it's encouraging to see these high contribution rates, it's important to remember that the cost of living has risen significantly over the years.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially healthcare costs.
Right.
So what might have been considered a safe retirement nest egg for boomers might not cut it for Gen X.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so even though they're saving more, there's still this uncertainty about whether it will be enough to cover all the bases in retirement.
That makes sense.
And that uncertainty might be contributing to the anxieties we're seeing.
Okay, so let's talk about those anxieties then.
Sure.
Despite these positive saving trends, Gen Xers themselves are reporting feeling less financially secure than boomers.
Huh.
Why do you think that is? What's driving this disconnect between their actual savings behavior and their perception of their financial well-being?
Well, it's a complex issue with several potential contributing factors.
Okay.
One key point is that Gen X is the first generation to potentially face a lower standard of living than their parents.
Oh, wow.
This breaks from a historical trend of upward mobility, and that can create a sense of disillusionment and anxiety about the future.
Yeah, that's a pretty heavy realization to grapple with.
Right. It's like their expectations about what their future would look like have been turned upside down.
Totally.
And it's not just about their own individual prospects either.
What else?
Gen X is often called the sandwich generation.
Oh, right.
Because they're often caught between the financial demands of raising children and caring for aging parents.
Yeah.
This double burden can put a strain on their resources and contribute to their feelings of financial insecurity.
And the FINRA study found that 1 in 5 Gen Xers carrying student loan debt are actually carrying it for someone else.
Wow.
Like a child or a grandchild.
That's rough.
It really shows the financial juggling act they're facing.
Absolutely.
It highlights the multi-generational nature of their financial challenges.
For sure.
They're not just worried about their own retirement,
Right.
but also the well-being of their loved ones. But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The data shows that Gen X is actually doing pretty well with savings.
Yeah, we talked about that.
They're contributing to their 401ks, investing in other accounts. We're even seeing this trend of super savers emerge. Yeah. The Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies found that 40% of Gen Xers are now putting away more than 10% of their salary for retirement.
Wow, 40%.
Up from 30% just a few years ago. So if they're saving, why are they still so anxious?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And I think it speaks to a deeper psychological element that goes beyond just the numbers.
Okay, so we'll have to dive into that.
We will.
But first, we need a break.
You know, Gen X came of age during a time of significant economic upheaval.
Oh, yeah, true.
They witnessed the dot-com bubble burst,
Yeah.
the aftermath of 9/11, the 2008 financial crisis.
Yeah, it was a rough time.
These events, coupled with, rising education costs and stagnant wages, have shaped their worldview. And that created a sense of cautiousness when it comes to, financial planning.
Yeah, it's like they've seen firsthand how quickly things can change.
Exactly.
How even the best laid plans can go awry.
Precisely.
So even if the numbers look good on paper, there's this underlying fear that it could all disappear in an instant.
It's almost like a generational trauma response
to economic uncertainty.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to put it.
And it shows how important it is to address not just the, practical aspects of retirement planning, but also the emotional and psychological factors that influence how Gen X makes decisions.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
It's not just about having enough money.
Yeah.
It's about feeling secure and confident about your future.
Exactly. And that sense of security can be eroded by the anxieties they've seen in their own families.
Oh, like their parents?
Yeah. The Northwestern Mutual study found that Gen X is the least confident about being financially prepared for retirement. And I think part of that comes from seeing their parents struggle with things like long-term care costs.
Oh, yeah.
Unexpected medical expenses, things like that.
Yeah, it's like they're carrying the weight of their parents' experiences on their shoulders.
Right.
Anticipating those challenges in their own future.
Precisely. And those experiences create a powerful emotional undercurrent.
I could see that.
That can be difficult to shake, even when they're diligently saving and planning for their own retirement.
So there's this constant tension between the rational side, the one that's following the financial advice and building a nest egg,
right,
and the emotional side that's still bracing for the worst.
It's a delicate balancing act. No wonder they're feeling anxious.
Yeah, it underscores the need for a more holistic approach to retirement planning.
Okay, so we've explored the anxieties, but we also know that doing nothing won't help.
True.
What concrete steps can Gen Xers take to feel more in control of their financial future? What can they do to address these anxieties, even if they resonate with them? Well, one of the most effective ways to combat anxiety is to take action.
Okay.
Even if it feels daunting.
Yeah.
Starting small can make a big difference.
Okay.
The first step is to create a plan.
A plan for what?
For your finances.
Okay.
Even a basic one.
So getting a clear picture of where things stand right now.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
But it should outline your financial goals, income, expenses, and assets.
That sounds like a good place to start,
Yeah.
but I imagine it can also feel overwhelming for some people.
Sure, it can.
Are there resources available to help them navigate this process?
Absolutely. Seeking guidance from a financial advisor can be incredibly valuable.
Okay.
They can help you create a personalized plan, provide objective advice, and offer support along the way.
It's like having a financial coach in your corner.
Exactly.
Someone to help you strategize and stay on track.
Exactly. And speaking of staying on track, let's not forget about debt.
Uh-oh.
Especially student loans. We mentioned earlier that a significant percentage of Gen Xers are worried about paying off their debt.
Right. The Northwestern Mutual study found that 60% of Gen Xers are concerned about debt. What are some strategies they can use to tackle this issue and alleviate some of that anxiety?
Well, there are several approaches.
Okay.
The best one depends on individual circumstances.
Sure.
But some common strategies include creating a budget
Oh, okay.
to track spending and identify areas where you can cut back,
Makes sense.
consolidating or refinancing loans to secure a lower interest rate,
Oh, that's smart.
and exploring income-driven repayment plans for federal student loans.
So it's about finding a solution that fits their specific situation
Yeah.
and helps them manage that debt more effectively.
Precisely. And once you have a plan for tackling debt, you can shift your focus to maximizing your retirement savings.
Speaking of retirement savings, we talked about how Gen X is actually doing a decent job with their 401k contributions.
Right.
But I know there are also these things called catch-up contributions. Can you explain what those are and why they might be beneficial, especially for Gen Xers?
Absolutely. Catch-up contributions are essentially a way for people aged 50 and older to contribute more to their retirement accounts than younger individuals.
It's like a bonus round for retirement savers.
Exactly.
I like it.
It's designed to help those who may have started saving later in life
Oh, okay.
to catch up and boost their retirement savings.
So it's like a bonus round for retirement savers.
Exactly. And there's great news for older Gen Xers.
What's that?
Thanks to the Secure 2.0 Act, if you're between 60 and 63 in 2025, you can contribute even more.
Really? So it's like a super bonus round.
Yeah.
How much extra can they contribute?
Well, the catch-up contribution limit for those aged 50 and over is $7,500.
Okay.
But for those aged 60 to 63, it jumps to $11,250.
Wow, that's a significant amount. So even if you're an older Gen Xer feeling behind, there's still an opportunity to make a big impact on your savings.
Exactly. And beyond maximizing contributions, it's also crucial to think about how you'll actually generate income in retirement.
Okay.
This is where retirement income planning comes in.
Okay, so we've got the saving part down, but now we need to figure out how to make that nest egg last.
Right.
Without having to survive on ramen noodles for the next 30 years.
It's about developing a strategy for withdrawing your savings sustainably.
Okay.
Factoring in things like your estimated expenses, life expectancy, and potential investment growth.
Got it.
Unfortunately, the Alliance Life study found that only 30% of Gen Xers actually have a plan for how they'll take income in retirement.
Wow, that's surprisingly low.
Yeah.
So they might be good at saving, but the how to use it part seems to be missing for a lot of them.
It's a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Right.
Many focus on accumulating wealth, but don't consider how to make it last throughout their retirement years.
So it's not just about saving. It's about having a solid plan for actually using those savings wisely.
Exactly, and this is another area where a financial advisor can provide valuable guidance.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
We've talked about saving, managing debt, and planning for retirement income. Is there anything else Gen Xers can do to feel more prepared and maybe even a little less doom and gloom about their future?
Absolutely. Beyond the financial strategies, I think it's crucial for Gen Xers to cultivate a mindset of flexibility and adaptability.
You mean like thinking beyond that, the traditional image of retirement?
Yeah.
Just golfing and relaxing on a beach somewhere?
Exactly. For many Gen Xers, retirement might involve a phased approach.
Oh, okay.
Maybe working part-time,
Okay.
starting a business, or pursuing passions they didn't have time for during their careers.
Right.
This can not only provide additional income,
Yeah.
but also a sense of purpose and fulfillment.
So it's about redefining what retirement looks like and finding a path that, aligns with their values and goals.
Precisely. And that might involve challenging some of the assumptions they've inherited about what it means to retire.
It's like they're rewriting the retirement rule book, creating a new chapter that reflects their experiences and aspirations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that sense of agency, that ability to shape their own future can be incredibly empowering.
Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Gen X retirement,
Yeah.
it feels like we've uncovered a more nuanced picture than the typical doomed generation narrative.
I think so.
I mean, there are real challenges, and those anxieties are valid, but there's also a sense of resilience and a determination to create a fulfilling future.
Indeed, Gen Xers are savers.
Yeah.
They're adaptable, and they're increasingly taking control of their financial destiny.
For sure.
While they might not always express it outwardly, they have a lot to be optimistic about.
It's like they're quietly building their own version of retirement success.
Yeah.
One that might look different from previous generations, but is no less meaningful.
Exactly. It's a story that's still being written, and the ending is far from determined.
So for our listeners out there, especially those who identify with the Gen X experience, what would you say is the most important takeaway from all of this? What's the one thing you hope they'll remember as they navigate their own path toward retirement?
I think the key takeaway is that while financial planning is crucial, it's equally important to cultivate a mindset of resilience, adaptability, and hope.
Okay.
Don't let anxieties paralyze you.
Right.
Take action, even small steps, and remember that you have the power to shape your own future.
Great advice. And speaking of shaping the future, as always, we want to leave our listeners with a thought to ponder something to spark their own exploration beyond our conversation today.
Okay, shoot.
We've talked a lot about the financial side of retirement, but what about the emotional and psychological aspects? If the data suggests that Gen X's financial picture might be brighter than they perceive, what's truly holding them back from feeling more confident and secure about their future? Is it purely a matter of finances? Or is there something deeper at play?
That's a good question.
Is it the weight of generational expectations? the fear of repeating their parents' struggles, or perhaps a reluctance to let go of the familiar even if it's not serving them well.
These are questions worth exploring.
Yeah?
Perhaps by understanding the root of these anxieties, Gen X can start to rewrite their narrative and embrace a more hopeful and fulfilling vision of their retirement years.
A powerful thought to leave our listeners with.
I hope so.
And remember, even though retirement might seem like a distant horizon, it's never too early or too late to start charting your course.
Well said.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep learning.
And remember,
Yeah.
knowledge is power.
Especially when it comes to planning for a brighter future.
Absolutely.